Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Adoptions can't be undone. Woman in our first story thinks she can just take her kid back because she changed her mind. That's also pretty entitled thinking. It's up to her to allow our OP to move or not with her daughter. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled parents and sister are demanding I not take an incredible job overseas if I'm taking my adoptive daughter. My younger sister went through a pretty rough time as a young adult, drinking and generally being wild. She ended up getting pregnant and giving birth at age 18 when I was just a few weeks away from turning 21. She didn't want the child after giving birth. She refused to even pick up the child and would leave her sitting in dirty nappies. Despite never wanting children myself either, I stepped in and adopted my newborn niece as my daughter. My then boyfriend, who I'd been with for 3 years, gave me an ultimatum, him or her, as he didn't want children either. I picked her, and he left me, which resulted in me suddenly being a single mother. The first few years were rough as a single parent barely making ends meet, but I managed and my sister had nothing to do with this. I never once hid the truth from my daughter that she was adopted, but always assured her I loved her so much and was her mommy. When my daughter was 6, my sister was finally clean and wanted to have access to her. I allowed it, but stressed she would just be an aunt to her, and she accepted this, though it's clear she struggled with the concept and sometimes acted more like a mother, which I always squashed quickly. Now my daughter's 8 and I've been offered a job in a different country. The pay's almost double my current salary, and the company is helping us find a home, putting my daughter in an international school and after-school care. So of course I'm going to take it, but this resulted in my family having a meltdown about how I can't do this and how it's cruel to take my daughter away from her family and how it's not fair to my sister. My sister has told me she won't allow me to move away with her and that she'll fight in court to get my daughter back. I've talked to lawyers and it seems she doesn't have a leg to stand on as my daughter is legally my daughter, but the rest of the family's telling me I'm being extremely cruel and if I cared about my sister, I'd turn this job down. I left home at 16 and finished my education. My sister, meanwhile, is the golden child who gets away with everything. She even now lives with our parents and doesn't work. My daughter, while sad to be leaving her school and friends, is excited for the move. I've been teaching her about the country every night before bed, and we've gone to some authentic restaurants to try food from there. I've also promised her we'll fly back at least once a year to visit, and she can FaceTime and call her friends. I feel like my family are angling for me to eventually just hand my daughter back over as if I was just a temporary filler for my sister, which will obviously never happen, and my lawyers are involved in this matter. Your family should be thinking what's in the best interest of the child, not their adult daughter. And our second story. Coworker tries to schedule meetings outside of contract time and criticizes my non-work plans. I have a coworker who's really disorganized and waits until the last minute to schedule things, and so that frequently means calling a meeting at 4 o'clock on a Friday. For reference, my 8-hour workday ends at 3 o'clock, so these meetings make for 10-hour plus days, and because the coworker is so disorganized and unprepared, we frequently have to cover things that they should have done ahead of time, like creating an agenda or desired outcome at the actual meeting. Because these are required meetings, usually only once or twice a month, I have to go to them no matter when they're scheduled and get extended pay for working overtime. But my coworker is supposed to give at least a week's notice, and I'd definitely rather have the free time than the money. Typically, if I don't hear by Thursday afternoon that they have scheduled the meeting for 4 o'clock on a Friday, I make other weekend plans, like hiking or bicycling or going out somewhere. Yesterday, Friday, the coworker attempted to schedule the meeting at 4:45, but didn't put it on my calendar until 3:05. I should have been off by then, but I had an end-of-day meeting that went over by a few minutes, so I was doing a last check of email and then shutting things down for the weekend. I saw the meeting request and responded that that wasn't enough notice for a meeting that far outside the workday, and that I normally would not even see the notice until the following Monday, and CC'd my boss just so they know I wasn't trying to shirk any duties. Of course, coworkers upset because they're required to hold the meeting by law, and it's the absolute last day to do it without filing an extension, which they've been told by my boss they're not allowed to do unless there's extenuating circumstances, and they've known about it for 2 months. They just didn't plan for it. My boss calls at 3:10 saying, "Can you please do this now and end at 4:10 and we'll address it on Monday?" Fine. I was planning on leaving town, but I can leave a little bit later. Coworker responds to my boss by email and says they're using personal time between 3:10 and 4:45, so they can't hold the meeting until then, and that nothing I'm doing could possibly be important enough that I can't attend the meeting at 4:45. Boss calls coworker confessed that their child's birthday party is at 6 that evening, and they have to go try to find a cake and party supplies for the party before the meeting, which is why they can't be available. Boss gets annoyed and says that we, boss and I, will do the meeting now and coworker will have to answer for it on Monday. Boss and I hold meeting, it takes 20 minutes, I'm out of there by 3:45. Coworker sends me a nasty gram by text at 10:15 p.m. saying it's my fault they're in trouble and that they have a child, so I should understand that people with children come first and that my activities and hobbies are pathetic and it wouldn't have been that hard for me to just attend the meeting they scheduled and that they'll go back and fix everything my boss and I did incorrectly because they like to do it a specific way. My boss had already submitted it. I responded that I hope their child enjoyed their birthday party and to have a great weekend. They respond that they forgot to invite people so no one came. And thanks for rubbing that in their face. And our next story. Rude woman gets what she deserves. Okay, so first some background. I work as a hostess at a very popular family-owned Italian restaurant in my town. On weekends, it's not uncommon for us to be fully booked up until about 8:30 p.m. and wait times for walk-ins average about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm also a very small/skinny girl. I often buy kids' clothes. Now on to the revenge. The dinner rush hits and I have a wait list of about 5 tables. A woman and her husband walk in, cut me off mid-greeting and say they want a table for 2. Fine, whatever, be rude, I'm used to it. When I tell them the wait time will be around 45 minutes to an hour, they instantly get pissed off. They try everything in the book to get a table and I hold firm. They take a seat behind where I stand at the front. As I'm going about my business, I start to overhear bits of their conversation. Basically, the woman, who by the way is very large, is going on about how dumb I am and that I can't even do my job properly. This I'm prepared to let go as well. That is, until she starts calling me the skinny bee and making several references to my weight, or lack thereof. As her insults got worse, her volume got louder until it was very clear she wanted me to overhear all of it. I've always been very skinny and have always felt self-conscious about it. When I told them their table was ready, she looks me up and down with this crabby look on her face and mutters something under her breath about my clothes. This is where I snapped a little. I began to lead them through the packed dining room and purposely chose a route that I knew she was too wide to fit through. She would have had to either ask about 5 people to get up and move for her or go all the way around the edge of the dining room. I didn't look back, but when we all eventually got to the table, she didn't say another word and just looked down at her menu. If she wants to shame me and be nasty to me about my body type, she should probably take a look in the mirror. And our last story. No, I don't allow the neighbor kids to play on my lawn. I'm a man in my early 30s. I'm an MD, dermatologist, and recently decided to move out of my apartment to a place with more space, especially a lawn so that my dogs, I have 2, can have more space. I spend a lot of my time in my clinic, private practice, and due to that, the 2 of them spend a lot of time alone. That being said, more space would definitely be advantageous for them. I searched for quite a while before I found a house that I liked, had a big lawn, and ended up buying it. It's in a very tiny neighborhood in my city, and quite a calm one, which is always great. I've moved to this house about a week ago and haven't had any real troubles at all. Everyone seemed friendly enough. Last Friday, however, when I got home and went to the lawn to play with my dogs, a woman came to knock on my door. She's one of the neighbors and is part of their association. I'm not, and I have no plans of ever joining them, but they don't harm me, so it's fine. I went to answer the door and see what did she need. She was pretty nice at first, welcoming me to the neighborhood and all that, but afterwards she said, and I quote, "So I know you're new, but we'd like to ask you to keep your dogs inside your house when you're out. The kids like to play on the house's lawns and they're afraid of your dogs, so you need to put them inside when you're not at home." For a moment, I didn't quite believe what I heard and asked her to repeat, and she indulged me like this was a common occurrence. I just flat out told her, no, the lawn is for the dogs. Your kids have no business going to my property, nor do you have any ground to make that demand. She didn't take that well. She told me she was going to contact the association and all other kind of stuff. I just told her flat out that she could call the Pope for all I cared. It was my property and my say, and it stays. Oh boy, how wrong was I to say that? She left fuming, and apparently throughout the weekend started to spread rumors about me to the neighbors. People who would smile at me or say good morning no longer even look at my face. Honestly, I'm more pissed than anything, but seeing this many people believe my actions were that of an a-hole, it makes me wonder if I'm not in the wrong. Edit, just a note that I should have put in beforehand, my lawn, backyard is fenced. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.